Thank you, thank you, thank you. My name is Henry Patterson, and I'm the president of Lorain Schools Alumni Association, and I'm so excited to see all your faces here today for now our second annual induction ceremony. We're very excited to have an opportunity to honor these great alumni of the Lorain Schools. But what I'm going to do now is we're going to get ready to eat. But before we do that, I'm going to give you some Tim Williams, a member of our Lorain School Board currently, and also pastor, is going to say an opening prayer.
Good morning, everyone. If you could bow your heads, please. Our gracious and heavenly Father, we thank you for this day. We thank you for this time of fellowship. We thank you that we've come together to honor those who honor is due. We thank you for this great community. We thank you for the leadership that has organized this and that continues to advance our community in bringing us together for times of fellowship like this. Now bless us and bless this food we're about to receive. It will be for the nourishment and the enjoyment of our bodies, and give us a good time of just sitting together and talking and reminiscing about the days of past as we anticipate the great days ahead. We thank you for these things in Jesus' name, amen.
Okay, now what we're going to do in terms of breakfast, Toni Giardini here, who is my vice chairman, our vice president of the association, he's going to call you up by table. He'll come through. Bring your tickets with you. So you're going to, I think he's going to dismiss, I think, like one row of tables at a time. You're going to work your way around this way and around the back and then back up. So until Toni comes around and tells you can go, that's when you go. So Toni, go ahead. Okay, your attention, please. Let's go ahead and try to get this program underway. Those of you that are still eating, please go ahead, but we do want to be respectful of your time. Again, thank you for coming out, and welcome you to our second induction breakfast for the distinguished alumni of Lorain Schools, which consist of Admiral King, Lorain Catholic, Lorain High, Southview, and St. Mary's. I would like to take a moment to recognize the members of the board that have been working behind the scene kind of tirelessly. It's all volunteers. It's a labor of love. So I'm going to call your name out. If you would just for a moment just stand up and be recognized, because this is all happening because of them. Anthony Giardini is our vice president, Admiral King class of 1969. Sue DiLuciano Bailica, Admiral King class of 1969. She is our secretary. What's that?
70.
Oh, that got changed pretty quickly. She's not here, but I do have to recognize Bambi Dillon, who is a Lorain High class of 1972. She's our treasurer, and and she actually, this looks this good because of Bambi. That's one of the skills that Toni and I do not possess, is putting on a good event. Bambi does, and she is right now working tirelessly at the International Festival. She's holed away managing the money as she has been doing for years. Other member, and she's, again, Bambi's our treasurer. Other members in attendance, Mia Arredondo. She is a Southview class. Please stand. Thank you. Southview class of 2006. Mark Ballard, member of our school board, and also a Lorain High class of 1986. Missy DeAngelis, a Lorain Catholic class of 1987. Mr. Jay Ferguson, an Admiral King class of 1973 member. Jay is going to be serving as our MC shortly, so he's feverishly finishing up. Kathy Lathwell is a 1967 graduate of Lorain High School. Aaron Simmons, the man known as Aaron Simmons, Admiral King High School class of 2004. And Bill Sturgill, Lorain High class of 1968. See if everyone's here, right? Yeah, those are all of the members that are in attendance. So again, thank you. Dave Burgess? And I'm sorry, Dave Burgess, he snuck in. Lorain High class, stand up, I didn't see it. Lorain High class of 1968. So those are the members that have been kind of working behind the scenes. We're kind of moving slowly, but doing some things. We've now come out with, if you check both online, we do have a website, LorainSchoolAlumni.com. We're doing more and more things. We've now put out 2 newsletters that will be going out quarterly, and please check those out. read those. Maybe there's some things of interest. Maybe you've got upcoming events or dates, maybe with regards to your alumni class, that, we're always looking for stories or people to spotlight. We kind of spotlight a different person each quarter, so please do that. I also want to encourage, if you've not done so already, to join the Alumni Association here as we get going. We'll be circulating these sign-up sheets. Again, we've got pen. Please fill those out legibly. And for me, it means writing in print because you couldn't make out my cursive. Again, that we can have your email address, etc. Because there's a lot of people who aren't members yet. And in particular, what we want you all to think about doing is recommending people to be part of the Distinguished Alumni Association. There's a lot of outstanding people in Lorain that we just think that haven't been nominated yet. So we want to really reach out and encourage you to do that as well. So again, as the program is going on, we'll be circulating these, and we would like you to fill those out if you've not done so already. Good, good, good. All right, with that, I'm going to turn it over to our new mayor, Joe Kazura, for some opening remarks.
Do not adjust your TV, he's back. If you remember Poltergeist. I apologize for not dressing up this morning. I didn't realize I was going to make any statements, but I'm happy to be here and to reflect on the importance of education, and that's why this reflects really the positive in Lorain. Our problem in Lorain has been for years, we have an inferiority complex. I really believe that. It's always negative this, negative that. It's about time we start shining the spotlight on all the good things we have done in this city and the people that have come through the school system in various different schools. But Lorain High, many of you in this today is from Lorain High. I know my good friend, Dr. Foltin, and I served together at the city and a PhD, and he's a Lorain graduate, Lorain High. And it reflects even George Koury went to school and made it, which is pretty impressive. So I just want to congratulate all of you for being here and all the nominees that have been inducted, and let's carry on and carry the good things about this city. Thank you very much.
The first thing I would like to do is thank outgoing Mayor Chase Rittenauer for donating the plaques for today, and it's evident by Joe's presence that Chase's legacy will be recycling. In looking for a quote about education that I thought was appropriate, the first thing I did was go to my #1 standby for all things educational, and I popped in the movie Animal House, and of course saw on the statue at the beginning, knowledge is good. But I think it's more than that, and there was an old gentleman who was a mentor of my dad's at Lorain High many years ago, Pete Smith. A lot of you have heard of Pete, and Pete used to say that the purpose of education was to overcome ignorance with intelligence and to overcome fear with self-confidence. And I think as you look around the room, you can see a lot of intelligence and self-confidence in the room. With that, our first nominee is John Costin, Jr., a 1967 graduate of Lorain High School. John is a prominent ophthalmologist known for his specialty in cataract surgery, who has practiced locally for 40 years. John was named for his father and learned the importance of family and the value of a strong work ethic from him. From a young age, John Jr. worked at the family business, Costin's Custom Cleaners, in Lorain. In high school, John participated in varsity football, math club, National Honor Society, and was vice president of student council and voted most service to the school in senior awards. John has always focused on service in his life and career. John remembered LHS as a fine school with many intelligent students, stating that it was a privilege to attend school with his older brother, Daryl, and 3 of his first cousins, Sharon and Ruth Kasanovich and Linda Irwin. His fondest recollection, however, is spending time with Cindy Randall, who he first met at age 12 and who would later become his wife. After high school graduation, John earned his undergrad degree from Case Western, where he remembers the rigor of the coursework. He continued on at Case School of Medicine, earning his MD in 1975. He completed both his internship and residency at the Cleveland Clinic and followed with a fellowship at Jackson Memorial Hospital in Miami. At the conclusion of his fellowship, John was in high demand and could have gone anywhere to practice, but he decided to return to Lorain. He set up a private practice and bought a 170-acre horse farm in Wakeman, Ohio. John had always had a love of the West and horses and traveled there often. He loved raising his 3 children on the farm, where they learned the value of hard work, discipline, and respect, standard Costin values. Other interests for John are reading, carpentry, and farming and gardening, which he believes is cheaper than therapy. An alternative career choice would have been forestry, but medicine won out, and John practiced with the clinic from 1979 to 2017. He served as the chair of the Cleveland Clinic Lorain Institute. John has had the privilege of working for several years alongside his sons, John III and Brian, both also surgeons and graduates of Case Medical. Daughter Megan has a master's in business administration, works in the medical equipment industry. John Costin has earned his reputation as a great doctor, very caring and experienced. In 2017, John stated his medical practice was built by developing personal relationships. John was known for greeting patients in the waiting room, introducing them to staff, and thanking them for the honor of serving them. We are a family, taking care of our friends and neighbors. I am just continuing the core lessons taught to me by his dad and mom. This community has been lucky to have John Costin Jr. Please welcome Dr. John Costin Jr. to the Lorain Schools Association Distinguished Alumni Hall of Fame. John's health precludes him from being here today. Accepting on his behalf will be Jack Bradley.
Good morning, everyone. I was able to communicate with John last evening, and he wished that he could be here, but because of the treatment that he's going through, he's very susceptible to infection, and so he could not be here, but he wanted to be. The one thing that John did say to me is that he did not believe he deserved this award. All of you here today who are receiving awards deserve it. John certainly deserves this award. I was best friends with John starting in kindergarten. And the way we became best friends is I knew how to make paper airplanes. And I taught John how to make paper airplanes. After that, he taught me a lot. He taught me how to box. He taught me how to work hard, and he taught me how to be a good citizen in person. John is a special guy, and we went to Larkmore Elementary School together. We went to Longfellow Junior High together. We went to Lorain High School together, graduating from the class of '67. And after that, he convinced my parents to send me to Case Western Reserve University together with him, and we both graduated from there. John continued on to medical school, but we both worked with his dad and mom at their business. And those were wonderful people. Those were my second parents. And I'm just so proud to be able to accept this award on behalf of John and all of you who know him, who have had the pleasure of having him treat you at his eye clinic and pray with him before your surgeries. Know that this guy is special, and I hope that we all send out a prayer and a good thought for him today so that he is better and can come over to the Lorain High School and see his plaque on the wall, because he would be proud of this. Thank you very much.
Marie Sofia DiLuciano graduated from Lorain High School with the class of 1947B. She loved her experience at Lorain High. She spoke of attending movies after lunch period, going to football games, and participating in intramurals. She was extremely proud that she was a member of the National Honor Society. She was a school aide, participated in clubs, and was often involved in dramatics. Most of all, she met the love of her life, Al DiLuciano. Born to Italian immigrant parents, and receiving her high school diploma was important, but higher education was not. Besides, her focus was marrying Al and raising a family. She and Al married on February 18, 1950. Marie passed away just shy of their 60th wedding anniversary. They had 4 children, Sue, Randy, Alice, and Russ. In the mid-60s, her husband Al and several partners began a business that manufactures plastic welding rod. Because they also worked full-time and could not perform the day-to-day operations of the business, Marie stepped in. Despite her lack of higher education, her hard work and dedication enabled the business to flourish, with her taking care of ordering, contracting, and working with the customers, and managing all financial aspects. Marie was a pioneer in a sense. She worked and managed a business before it was common for women to be involved in running things, especially one that sells products globally. Along with raising children, managing a household, and taking care of elderly parents, and later babysitting grandkids, she succeeded in being instrumental in creating a successful business. The business, V&A Process Incorporated, continues to operate under the ownership of her 4 children. Marie was also active in her church, St. Peter's Parish, where she was a member of the Holy Name Society, a home visitor for homebound and nursing homes, and taught PSR classes. She was involved in service clubs such as Sarah Club, St. Francis Mission Group, Second Century Council, and Lakeland Women's Club. She truly loved God, people, her city of Lorain, and most of all, her family. Please welcome Maria Sofia DiLuciano to the Lorain Schools Alumni Association Distinguished Alumni Hall of Fame. And on her behalf, her daughter, Sue Belika.
He made me almost cry. But I am Sue DiLuciano Belika, and I am the oldest of Marie's 4 children. My siblings are here also. Alice, Randy, and Russ, and they're seated at this table. Our mother left us a legacy, a wonderful legacy. She taught us love of our family, the importance of our family, love of God, and she instilled a good moral character for us. But unknowingly, she gave us another legacy. We witnessed our mother being part of establishing a business. She was instrumental in establishing our company, V&A Process Incorporated. We're located in Lorain. You probably didn't even realize that you have a manufacturing company like this. But it started when our father, Al DiLuciano, who worked at B.F. Goodrich in the research and development department, was approached by one of their workers, and he had an idea to manufacture the plastic welding rod. Our father and another person were able to put this into work. And because they worked full-time, they didn't have anybody to do all the extras, and so our mom stepped in. Our first extruder for our business was located down our basement. So during the day when Dad was at work, Mom would go down the basement and fill the hopper. And, and gradually she started taking orders. It was amazing how it just started as a small business like that. We now ship globally, And some of the things that we use the plastic welding rod for, and my siblings could tell you better because they actually work in the plant, whereas I do the financial aspect of it. But we ship to Mexico, China, right? China, Canada, just all over the world, parts of Europe. But they use the plastic welding rod to mend fenders, skis, and what's that? Tanks. I mean, they use it for fishing nets, repairing fishing nets. I mean, it's just. And then one of the latest things is I know we also manufacture repairs for those orange barrels. I know, I walked into the plant one day and I saw this bright orange coils being made, and sure, I asked what this was for, and it was for repairing the barrels. But you know, our mom, I always say our mom stepped in. She took care of all of this. She was an inspiration to us. That we saw what she did and how it started as just one little machine down her basement, and now we have a global business. So if you have any questions about the business, you know, like I said, there's probably not many of you that even knew that it existed, but be glad to answer them. But thank you for the award. I'm truly honored. We're truly honored that our mom is being inducted into the Hall of Fame.
Thomas Elwell is a 1971 graduate of Lorain Catholic High School. During high school, he was an honor roll student and was MVP of the varsity baseball team. In reflecting on his time at Lorain Catholic, he said, "It was a wonderful time of my life. All 4 high schools were open at the time. There was great respect and friendly rivalry amongst us." That's not how I remember it. Following high school, Tom enrolled at the University of Detroit, where he earned his bachelor's degree in 1975. He then enrolled in law school at Cleveland Marshall College of Law and earned his Juris Doctorate in 1978 and passed the bar exam. From 1978 until 2004, he was in private practice of law in Lorain. In 2004, he was elected by the citizens of Lorain to serve as judge of the Lorain Municipal Court, a position that he remains in the present time. Please welcome the Honorable Thomas Elwell to the Lorain Schools Alumni Association Distinguished Alumni Hall of Fame.
Well, thank you so much for this award, or this induction. I sort of feel the same way as Dr. Costin. I don't really think I deserve something like this, but I really appreciate it. I was born in 1953 in Cleveland, but my family moved here in '55. I was less than 2 years of age, so for all intents and purposes, and from my standpoint, I consider myself born and raised in this great city. I graduated from Lorain Catholic in 1971. It was robust times for high schools here. We had Lorain High, Lorain Admiral King, Lorain Southview, and Lorain Catholic. But all I have are really just fond memories of growing up here. I was active in sports and school and community, and I couldn't have asked for a better community to grow up in. I come from relatively modest beginnings. My family I'm one of 7 children, and my father was a cookie salesman. My mom was a legal secretary, and she worked for Austin O'Toole and then Andy Warhola. And if they ever had a Hall of Fame for lawyers in Lorain, they would be first ballot inductees for sure. They were great lawyers, great men. And my mom really admired them. And she'd always tell me, Tom, it's a great profession. I think you'd be good at it. And I always sort of had an affinity for the law in terms of books I'd read and shows I'd watch on TV. So that's what I did. I went off to college and law school and came back right after and started a law practice. But first thing I did, though, is I met and married my beautiful wife, Vicki, and we've raised a family. We've been married 38 years. We have grandchildren now that we simply adore. But I started practicing law in '78 through 2004 for 25 years, and I've been judge now for the last 16. So it's over 41 years in this profession, which I find hard to believe, but I still enjoy going to work every day. I'm honored to be a public servant. And in closing, I'd just like to say that I'm proud to be a member of this community, and I'm honored for this, for this induction, and it's something that I'll cherish for the rest of my life. Thank you.
Craig L. Foltin is a 1985 graduate of Lorain High School. During high school, he was active in sports where he played varsity football and baseball. He was also an outstanding student as he earned membership in the National Honor Society at Lorain High. Dr. Foltin's reflection on his high school years were there was a wide range of people and the classic building, things he would always remember. After graduating from LHS, he attended the Ohio State University, where he earned a Bachelor of Science degree in accounting. He then went on to earn his MBA and Doctorate of Business Administration from Cleveland State University. Dr. Foltin is a CPA and certified government financial manager. Dr. Foltin decided early in his career to pursue public service as he was elected Lorain City Auditor in 1993. He then went on to serve 2 terms as mayor of Lorain from 2000 to 2007. In addition to his public service, Dr. Foltin has a long career in higher education. He served as provost and executive vice president and was the executive VP of administration and finance and treasurer at Cuyahoga Community College. He is also an assistant professor of accounting at Cleveland State University, where he has presented at countless professional meetings and has published 30 papers in some of America's top accounting journals. He resides in Lorain with his wife Karen and their daughters Lena and Eleanor. Please welcome Dr. Craig L. Foltin to the Lorain Schools Alumni Association Distinguished Alumni Hall of Fame.
Well, the last time I was in this room was 15 years ago. It was for my wedding reception. Brings back some great memories and great memories since then. Well, I'm a Lorain guy through and through. Born at St. Joe's, Lorain schools. I still live in Lorain, and I have no intentions of moving out of Lorain. I love it here. And when I think back, what makes me who I am, whether that's good or bad, of course, my parents laid the foundation. But more than going to Ohio State or any degrees or any of the jobs I've had, what made me who I am is about 6 blocks down the street, 6th and Washington at Lorain High School. The things we learned at Lorain High, it's not something you can really teach. It's about people. It's about relationships. What we had at Lorain High, the cultures, Italians, Germans, Hungarians, Slovaks, Polish, every ethnicity, Puerto Ricans, Mexicans, African Americans, and the banter and things that we used to go on back and forth with each other. You can't do that today in today's society, but it made us respect and appreciate everybody and their cultures. And the things I think that make a person, you don't learn in books. It's guys like me and Mayor Kazura We learn it on the streets of Lorain and from the people of this town, and I think that gives us an advantage over people, over Avon High School or anywhere else. We have something special in this town, and that's why it makes me very proud to receive this award today. So take care, and thank you very much.
Sherry Glass is a 1991 graduate of Southview High School. From her beginnings at Southview, she developed an interest in service as evidenced by her membership in the Key Club and Student Council, where she was elected as class president her senior year. She also found time to participate in basketball and softball during her 4 years at Southview and was a 4-year varsity letter-winning cheerleader where she was selected as captain. To round things off, Sherry was an outstanding student. She finished ranked 3rd in her class at Southview. In reflecting on her days at Southview, Sherry said, "My fondest memories of my school days deal with my friends and classmates. It was truly a blessing to be able to grow up in and develop relationships in a city so rich in diversity. No one was treated differently. It didn't matter what the color was or the income level you held. I was a poor little white girl who lived in a shabby duplex, and all of my closest girlfriends had skin darker than me with dark hair and eyes, and most of them had last names like Garcia, Pagan, and Perez. I couldn't ask for better memories, a better upbringing, or a better village to make me who I am today." Following high school, Judge Glass attended Ohio University, where she graduated with honors. She then attended Cleveland Marshall College of Law, earning her degree in 1997. After serving several years as an assistant Lorain County prosecutor, Sherry was elected judge in Lorain County Court of Common Pleas Domestic Division. Please welcome the Honorable Sherry Glass to the Lorain Schools Alumni Association Distinguished Alumni Hall of Fame.
Thank you. I just had a chuckle at the picture. I still have the same hair. Wow, it's a little smaller, a little, it was the late 80s, early 90s when the big hair and the Aquanet cans were in, all of our purses and handbags. But good morning, everyone. I am Sherry Glass, a lifelong resident of Lorain, and as Mr. Foltin indicated, and I think we all feel the same way, that this is where we grew up. This is where we want to raise our families, and we're not going anywhere. So I applaud that, and I echo the same feelings. I do want to just say thank you to the Alumni Association. This is just an amazing group of people who are doing amazing things for us. I mean, I feel on top of the world right now getting this award and just being amongst, looking over. I brought this up because I just can't stop reading it, looking at the names of the nominees. Reading the stories. I never thought I would be honored in a group with, my God, I'm losing my words here. My former principal, Mr. Pagan. My husband's boss, Stammitti. Okay. Sheriff. I wasn't going to call him a deputy. Oh my God. Sheriff Stammitti. Mr. Koury. These are individuals that I have always held, put on a pedestal, and I'm being named and honored with them. So I'm just on top of the world, and I appreciate everything you all have done, and I appreciate being part of this group. The last thing I will say, because I know we all are giving speeches now, so I'll keep mine really short. As I listened to the description being read, I got a little choked up when the words "little," what was it? The little white poor girl or something like. Did I say that?
Your words.
Did I say that? I got a little choked up about it. I thought, wow, but I'm not going to hide from it. I'm not. I never have. I think we all know Lorain we are not born with, the silver spoons in our mouths. We work for everything we have or we receive in life. And I am not going to hide from that. And that's probably why I said that. I'm like, oh, okay. I'm not going to hide from it. I'm proud of it. And when I go as judge, and even before I was judge, I reached out and have always talked to students and kids in the community, because I know 9 out of 10 of them are just like me. They, whether it's a single family household, just low income, whatever it is, I'm proud of that. I came from very modest means, and now I'm judge. I feel like I made it, and I can take my story and I share it with as many students and children as I possibly can, because I want those students and those children to be up here one day telling their story, how they made it, even though the odds were against them, and they probably never thought they would even go to college. As back in the day, I thought, wow, no one in my family has ever gone to college. How am I going to do it? But we do it, because that's what Lorainites do. So thank you. I appreciate it. I can't thank you enough. Thank you. Oh, heavy.
Speaking for those of us who don't have the hair we had in high school, keep your style as long as you can. James Hudak is a 1965 graduate of Lorain High School. During high school, he was a member and president of National Honor Society and the Math Club. He also earned a varsity letter in football and was a member of the German Club. In reflecting on his time in high school, he said, "Mr. Henderson drilled me in algebra and helped me to become one of the top 100 algebra students in the state of Ohio. Ms. Stone taught me to love ancient history, and Mr. Brooks taught me more about life than sports." Following graduation, Jim attended Yale University, where he earned an A.B. in economics in 1969, and then went on to earn a Master of Public Policy from the University of Michigan in 1971. Jim's career has included a mixture of public sector and private sector employment. He has been the CEO at United Health Group and the chairman and CEO of Paradigm Outcomes. Additionally, he was a partner at Anderson Consulting. In the public sector, he has served as the treasurer for the city of Palo Alto, which I understand he's doing again. The CFO for the city, is that correct, Toni? CFO for the city and county of San Francisco, and is currently interim treasurer for the county of Napa, California. Jim has also enjoyed public service, as evidenced by his serving as chair of the Gerald R. Ford School of Public Policy at the University of Michigan, and his endowing the James B. Hudak Professorship for Health Policy at the university. Jim is a 1965 graduate of Lorain High School. Oh, excuse me here. There we are. Please welcome James B. Hudak to the Lorain Schools Alumni Association Distinguished Alumni Hall of Fame. It takes a computer to do that.
Sherry, do cherish that hair that you have. Some of us haven't kept it. First I want to say thank you, and I'm honored by this. Although I have to admit, like several other people have said, I don't think I belong in the same category as a Nobel laureate in literature, but that's the people in Napa, California have gotten a big kick out of that, let me tell you. When I found out that I was chosen for this award, I started to kind of reflect upon education. One of the things that surprised me is that I remembered my teachers from Lorain a lot more than my professors at Yale. They had a big impact on me. Going back to Miss Hunt, who was my kindergarten teacher at my age, if I can remember my kindergarten teacher's name. Miss Sobieski, who was my first grade teacher, and I vividly remember her during the first week. She kept talking to me and the person on the left and the person on the right to quit talking while she was teaching. And then she realized at the end of the first week that I had been talking to myself all that time. I was a weird little kid. I was all in my head. But, in junior high, we had Mr. Maple for history who wanted us to learn some Russian because it was the Cold War and we should know we should know a few words in Russian. So I can still say things like "Niet," "Das Vidanya," a few things like that. And then Ann Gadan, I was just talking to Doug Pankratz about her. She drilled us in English, in grammar, in punctuation, in spelling. Just absolutely fabulous. And in high school, I mentioned Mr. Henderson, great math teacher, Miss Stone, and my appreciation for ancient history. In fact, I just got back from 2 weeks in Greece and a Yale alumni tour, which was just fabulous. And then Mr. Brooks, I don't know if any of you remember Coach Brooks, but he was a gentleman and taught me to be a gentleman. He was just super person. Overall, then there were my football coaches, Mr. Bansky and a couple others who actually put up with me. Believe it or not, I was an offensive guard. I was in college as well. My college coach said it best. He said, I made up for my lack of size by being really slow, which unfortunately was true. But overall, I'd say what I really appreciate is that in Lorain, people did appreciate differences, even a weird little kid like me. That I learned teamwork, I learned self-discipline, I got an excellent education, and all of that led to my success in both the public and private sector. So I just want to say thank you, Lorain.
Don't let him kid you. He blocked for a gentleman by the name of Calvin Hill while he was at Yale. Frank Jacinto is a 1957 graduate of Lorain St. Mary's High School. Following graduation, Frank enlisted in the United States Navy and served 4 years, attaining the rank of Raterman Second Class during his tenure. Following his military service, Frank enrolled at The Ohio State University, where he earned a bachelor's degree, and Kent State, where he earned his master's. Frank was an educator in Lorain schools for 31 years. As a teacher, he taught social studies and psychology. He also spent time as a school counselor. In 1971, Frank was named principal of Lincoln Elementary and became Ohio's first Hispanic principal. During his leadership at Lincoln, Frank was instrumental with creating the district's first bilingual education program. In the community, Frank was a founding member of El Centro, the Coalition for Hispanic Issues and Progress, better known as CHIP. As a tribute to all of Frank's contributions to Lorain schools and the community, the first of the newly built schools was named in his honor. Please welcome Frank Jacinto to the Lorain Schools Alumni Association Distinguished Alumni Hall of Fame. Accepting on his behalf is his nephew, Louis.
Tough act to follow, thanks. I'm not a good public speaker, so I had to write mine down. My name is Louis Jacinto. I'm the nephew of Frank Jacinto. On behalf of the Jacinto family, I would like to express our gratitude for you inducting our Uncle Frank into Lorain School Alumni Hall of Fame. Frank would be very proud of this accomplishment, and for those of you who knew Frank, you would all know that Frank never took pleasure in receiving glory or praise for his hard work. His reward was watching the advancement and success of the Hispanic community that he was a part of. He was all about education, not only for others, but for himself, which led him to be the first Hispanic principal of the state of Ohio. He retired from Lorain Schools in 1984 after 31 years of service and continued working for the Department of Defense till he retired again in 1998. As an approved escort, he was allowed to bring Hispanic prisoners from Grafton Honor Prison Farm to Lorain for educational, cultural, or religious services. He was also a local organizer for the United Farm Workers, Central Site Advisory Committee for the United Fund of Cleveland. He was 16-year board member for the Nord Community Health Center. In 1980, he was elected as a Hispanic Man of the Year. He was given a leadership award from El Centro in 1998. He was founder and member of CHIP and a member of the United Auto Workers Hispanic Council Leadership Conference Committee and served on the Board of Trustees of El Centro. Frank was a past president and treasurer of Mexican American Citizens Club. Uncle Frank passed away in 2002, but if he was alive, if he was here today, he'd be in the forefront fighting the current immigration policy of this administration, fighting for equal rights for the Hispanics in our border and in our city. He had a saying that went, "It doesn't matter who does it, as long as it gets done." This is what he would be saying to our Congress. Thank you.
Theresa Girz Kiedrowski is a 1973 graduate of Lorain Catholic High School, and Timothy J. Kiedrowski is a 1973 graduate of Admiral King High School. During high school, Terry participated in theater and concert choir, where 2 albums were recorded in 1972 and 73. Tim was a member of the marching band at Admiral King and participated in theater productions. In 1971, Tim, along with other Admiral King drummers, wrote the marching drum cadence that is still used by the high school today. Following graduation, Tim worked for DeLuca's Bakery while Terry went to Providence School of Nursing, where she graduated in 1976. She then enjoyed a 25-year career as an RN at St. Joseph Hospital Women's Health Department. In 1984, Tim and Terry were presented with the opportunity to purchase a struggling bakery in downtown Amherst. With fearless youthful aspirations, limited business knowledge, a solid idea, big confidence, and 4 children, they started Kiedrowski's Bakery that has been in business for 35 years and supplied pastries for you all today. In 2011, Kiedrowski's was named as the best bakery in America by the Baking Industry magazine. They were also noted in Condé Nast magazine as one of the 10 most unique businesses to visit. They were also recognized by the ambassador of Poland, who attended the famous Punchki Ball in 2012 for preserving Polish culture in the community. Please welcome Theresa Kiedrowski and Tim Kiedrowski to the Lorain Schools Alumni Association Distinguished Alumni Hall of Fame. Just the hole in the middle.
Is it this one? Hi, I'm Terry Kiedrowski, and I grew up in Lorain. This one. Oh. I grew up in Lorain on Regina Avenue. I went to Nativity for kindergarten. I went to St. Joe's downtown here for first grade, and then St. Peter's Open, where I went through 8th grade, and then I went to Lorain Catholic and so forth. But I just want to say, I got totally embarrassed. We get a lot of mail every day. I have this envelope that said, with our names on the front, and it said Henry T. Patterson, which I'm sorry, didn't know who he was. I thought it was something that wanted a donation.
Not yet.
Which is not a problem, but I'm like, okay, this pile, that's where it's going, because I don't have time today to look at that. 3 weeks later, when I opened it, which was 2 weeks before this started, I'm like, oh my God, look what I missed. And I'm very, very, very honored to be inducted here today. I don't, again, feel like I deserve to be rubbing shoulders with all the, well, went to school with Tom Elwell, went to school with a lot of people in this room. I don't feel I'm at that age where that I'm at my parents' age where yikes. So, yes, I'm very honored. I'm a Lorain girl. Our business is in Amherst. We did have businesses in Lorain. We enjoy serving the community, and without your support, we don't have our support. So I appreciate everyone who does support us very, very humbly. So thank you for this. As a matter of fact, I didn't even have time to find the pictures. I don't know where our high school pictures got to. They hung on the wall until we painted the bakery and never put them back up. But I know they're in that one pile somewhere. Thank you so much.
Well, this is kind of cool. I have to hurry because we have to get the Snoogles to the International by 12 o'clock. And that's why Michael's here. He's like, let's go, we gotta go. It's really cool to be in a room with people that we basically all know. So, I mean, everyone at every table, we kind of know each other one way. I mean, it's just amazing. And to be honored and recognized, of course, all that with everybody, but it is truly an honor because if you would ask any one of my teachers at Admiral King if I would be here today, there'd be no damn way. So I really do consider it an honor. And every time that we're on television or we do something and we're recognized, I always say that we're from the beautiful city of Lorain and the beautiful city of Amherst. Because I think everybody from Rocky River and Bay Village thinks the world ends right there. We have done shows, we have done things in Rocky River, Bay Village, Westlake, and I always tell the people, we're in Amherst. And they're like, whoa, I'm not driving all the way over there. And then I always say, when's the last time you were at Legacy Village? Oh, just yesterday. Well, that's farther to go to Legacy, but it's cool to go there. So we're trying to make it cool to come to Lorain. Okay? So that's why when we put polka bands out in front of the store and we try to do all we can to promote Lorain, Amherst, and the surrounding areas, we truly are happy to be from Lorain, and we're all Lorainites. And this is great because I love Lorain. Thank you.
He's got the hair that he had in high school. William Kishman was a 1941 graduate of Lorain High School. During high school, Dr. Kishman was a member of the National Honor Society and served as editor of the Scimitar. Following graduation, Dr. Kishman attended Western Reserve University. He then went to New York Medical College, where he graduated in 1947 and completed his residency at Huron Road Hospital in Cleveland. Dr. Kishman served in the Army Medical Corps as captain until 1954, when he returned to Lorain to build his private practice. He served as Lorain County Coroner starting in 1972 and would go on to serve 4 terms. He was on the staff at St. Joseph and Lorain Community Hospitals. Dr. Kishman was a fellow of the American College of Surgeons and a member of the Lorain County Medical Society and Ohio State Coroners Association. An avid supporter of Lorain athletics, Dr. Kishman was a member of the Lorain High School Booster Club and served as team physician for 24 years. It was said there was nothing more confusing than having your bell rung and waking up and staring into the eyes of the coroner. Please welcome Dr. William Kishman to the Lorain Schools Alumni Association Distinguished Alumni Hall of Fame, and accepting on his behalf his son Mike.
Doc, that was my dad. I want to start by saying thank you to the people up here just for remembering my dad. My dad was a Lorain guy through and through. He gave to the citizens of the city of Lorain, the citizens of Lorain County, and the athletics of the Lorain City Schools. He passed in 1988, and even today when I meet someone that for the first time and I tell them my name is Mike Kishman, 90% of the time they'll ask me, are you any relation to Doc Kishman? And I would say yes. And they would go on to tell me a story about how we did something for them and never expected anything in return. And that makes me very proud that people thought so highly of him. I know that today he is up there looking down and smiling because he was a Lorain man. And this is probably the epitome of something that he was striving for. Thank you.
George Koury is a 1968 graduate of Admiral King High School. During high school, he was a member of the National Honor Society, earned varsity letters in football and baseball, and was co-captain of the baseball team during his senior year. In reflecting on his time in high school, George fondly remembers the time his homeroom teacher, Mr. Bacalar, needed someone to fill in for an ill member of the speech team and to serve as MC of the school pep rally. Though he was nervous, he was handed the microphone and improvised for over an hour, and he hasn't shut up since. His words, not mine. Following graduation, George attended Ohio University, where he played baseball and graduated in 1972 with a BA. He then attended Ohio Northern University College of Law, where he earned his JD in 1975 and served as editor-in-chief of the Law Review. Professionally, George has had a long and varied legal career. In addition to his private practice, he has served as an NFL players representative, as an assistant Lorain City Law Director, and as assistant Lorain County prosecutor, and if I might add, as the butt of a lot of his friends' jokes. George was elected as Lorain County Commissioner in 1985 to 90, Lorain City Safety and Services Director until 2000, and has served as Lorain County Prosecutor's Office Chief of Staff since 2005. George has remained in the Lorain community and served on countless boards and been honored for his leadership repeatedly. However, his heart has remained in supporting athletics and educational opportunities for Lorain students. Please welcome George Koury to the Lorain Schools Alumni, Distinguished Alumni Association Hall of Fame.
Good morning. Okay, I have about a 35-minute speech. Somebody have a timer?
Yeah.
I'd like to say thanks to the committee, firstly, and I'm really honored to have been considered and receive this award. I really want to thank you for the booklet and using my high school graduation picture. I've showed it to my wife, reminded her that's who you married, not this. You didn't think it turned out this way, did you? Yeah, that's okay. Go ahead and laugh. I only wear the breathe right to hide everything else. That's all they notice now. Let me just say this. I guess we all reflect on everything that has happened in our lives. I mean, for a person like me, I grew up in my dad's bar, Terminal Bar on Vine and 28th, and I can remember attending bar when I was 12, 13 years old. Back in those days, if you were tall enough to see over it, you were old enough to tend it. I can remember picking up the booze when I was 14, 15 years old, hand me the keys, go to the state store, just do it. I can remember all of those things shaping whatever I am today. But most importantly, I had great parents, I have a great family, and I have great friends. I want to be up here today and thank everyone who has had some impact on my life. And what I think of it in terms of is, like, for instance, I see Lathwell's here. I can remember as a little boy playing Little League Baseball at Washington Avenue. And I remember they built that beautiful field. Lathwell's had a lot to do with that. I don't know the name of the person or persons who bought our Little League uniforms, those old wool, hot uniforms. I'm not exactly sure why they were wool, but I can remember that. I can remember back then, you know, those people having an impact on me. They're faceless, nameless, not anyone you could go up to today and thank them. I thank them today, and for any of you family members who are here today, thank you. I can think back to all my coaches at Hawthorne and Admiral King, from Mr. Kennedy, sweet, loving, caring. Gene Kennedy, oh, my 8th grade season, nobody scored on us. We would have been scared to death to have anyone score on us. But he's a person that had an enormous impact on my life. I remember my coaches at Admiral King. I remember many of my teachers, the impact that they might have had on me. And when you think back, it's all of that that makes us whatever we are today. I want to thank my 3 sons for tolerating me for many, many years. Thank God my wife was there. And our 5 grandchildren. But most of all, I want to thank my wife. For 47 years, she stuck with me. So if there's anyone who deserves an honor, it's her. Not that I'm not the nicest person to live with. But I'm talking about a woman who graduated in the top 3 or 4 of our graduating class, went to Ohio State University, physical therapist, who has dedicated her life to people with disabilities, her entire life, to this day. Children, adults, always there. We build a home, grandchildren friendly. They're there every day, many nights, and all she has done is dedicate herself to everyone else. Thank you. And thank you for this honor.
Jason Molina was a 1992 graduate of Admiral King High School. At an early age, Jason developed a love of music and began playing trumpet and then guitar. Throughout high school, he was involved in soccer and the jazz band as he nurtured his true love of music. In 1988, during high school, Jason was a charter member of the heavy metal group The Spine Riders, winning a local battle of the bands that led to studio time and eventually a contract with Secretly Canadian Records. Following graduation, Jason attended Oberlin College, where he earned a Bachelor of Arts degree in art history in 1996. He had a short-lived real job as a curator at the Chicago Museum of Art. However, in 1993, Jason admitted to a friend, "I want to be a rock star." Jason came to prominence as an indie alternative singer-songwriter during the late 1990s when he wrote, recorded, and performed as Songs Ohio and later as Electric Magnolia Company. Often referred to as a visionary and creative genius, Jason created a remarkable song catalog of stark and heartbreaking music that left a lasting impression on those who heard it. A prolific performer, Jason toured the US, Europe, and Australia between 1997 and 2009, creating a diverse and loyal fan base that exists to this day. Jason's untimely death in 2013 at the age of 39 was reported by the New York Times, Rolling Stone, Entertainment Weekly, and NPR. Lorain is deeply embedded in Jason's music. As a 24-year-old, he told an interviewer, "I grew up in a burned-out shipbuilding and steel-making town. Lorain is profoundly important to my music. It is the environment where I learned to walk away from the darkness. It is a place of water and storms and falling red sky and lightning. I learned to write music there about the world because out there it was immense and sudden. I learned that misery is not to capture but to learn about. Lorain and I have an unspoken agreement to always remain in each other's lives. It is a hard place. Welcome home, Jason Molina. And please welcome Jason Molina to the Lorain Schools Alumni Association Distinguished Alumni Hall of Fame. Accepting for Jason is his dad, who's one of the best teachers I ever had the opportunity to see in a classroom, Mr. Bill Molina.
By the way, I helped you with your Eagle Scouts too.
Did.
Yes. Oh.
We go back a ways.
Yes, we do. I'm extremely honored to speak on behalf of my son Jason as he is inducted into the Lorain Schools Distinguished Alumni Hall of Fame. As far as his professional accomplishments go, as a proud father, I'm happy to say that they were many, and those can be found on Google. Today, though, I'd like to spend most of my brief time up here sharing my memories of his life. Jason was born in Oberlin. By the way, he was born in a blizzard. We had to drive from here to Oberlin, and my wife went into labor, and 18 minutes after we got to the hospital, he was delivered. And Jay's mother was the anesthesiologist. Oh, my goodness. My wife and I, before Jason was born, exposed Jason to classical and Neil Young music. So I guess it isn't surprising that he had an interest in music from a very early stage. His brother Aaron was born when Jason was 3 years old. Just 2 years later, 5-year-old Jason and I hiked 20 miles together, and I still remember my little buddy carrying his backpack with him the whole way, never complaining. We also loved to go fishing in Lake Erie. In fact, we were together so much that friends used to nickname him Little Shadow. Jason, meanwhile, just called me Pops. The year that Jason turned 6, his sister Ashley was born, and she's here today with my granddaughters, and which was right about the time that Jason got his first guitar. By the way, he got his guitar from a teacher from Lorain High, Don Willits, and it was a Fender acoustic. That's also the same year that Jason got his first taste of fame. My wife Karen had made a pair of pajamas in the Cleveland Brown colors, and we decided to go to the Woolly Bear Festival together. We had intended just to go as spectators, not as participants, but the crowd, they saw him and they said, put him on the wagon and let him be in parade, and we did. And then we had to chase the wagon down the road because we didn't know where it was going. And he was waving, he was just having a good time. And it took it up to the stage where they were judging, and Dick Goddard was there, and Little John, and he became the Woolly Bear King. Despite the fact that he was now a king, music remained the activity closest in his heart throughout his childhood, and by the age of 7, he was already playing chords on his guitar. He also started going to school-related activities with me at a very early age, including archaeological digs, space camp in Florida, and the Sierra Ranger camping trips. He quickly became a real history buff, especially in connection with the Civil War, and we did plenty of relic hunting together. Jason was in the first academy class at Hawthorne Middle School, and I was his science teacher. In fact, I was the teacher of all three of my children. During high school, he played football, soccer, and was in the jazz band. He worked at Stammitti's, the pizza place, for a few years. And during his junior year, he was a foreign exchange student and went to England, living in London, a place that became important to him again later on in his life. His first band was the Spine Riders, and they won the Battle of the Bands in Lorain County. Oh my goodness, I remember those days of practice out in the garage. Whoa. After he graduated from Admiral King in 1992, he went on to graduate from Oberlin College as well with a degree in antiquities. Jason then signed a contract with the Secretly Canadian, where he recorded his music under the labels of Songs Ohio and Magnolia Electric Company. He wrote all of his songs and was a singer in the band. He never wanted to be a part of a big band, though. Instead, he wanted to create a personal connection each and every time he sang, and I believe he succeeded. I personally attended some of his concerts, and he wanted to be able to reach out and touch the fans, and it was just amazing. During his professional music career, he wrote 16 studio albums, 8 extended albums, and plenty of singles. And he moved to London for a few years and toured most of the European countries with his band. His songs were played on television show One Tree Hill, and in the movie, which was put out, I think, last year, Hearts Beat Loud. It's I hope everybody can see that. It's very interesting. After he died, then after a jam-packed but all too short life, Jason died in March 16, 2013 at the age of 39. There has been a biography written about him by Aaron Osman titled Riding with the Ghost, which was taken from the title of one of his more popular books, I've Been Riding with the Ghost. After he died, he was honored on the David Letterman show and on the Jimmy Kimmel Live show, among other places. His former band members have been going around the country in performing concerts and with his music. I also got to appear on the Lorain County Community College radio station recently, where they played Jason's music, and I was able to relate my memories about the music. As I look back on Jason's songwriting, I have many personal favorites. After all, I'm his father, my little shadow. But if I had to pick one line, then the one that resonates most with me is "Hope Dies Last of All." After his death, NPR wrote about him and picked up on the theme, saying that lingering thread of hope which survives in Molina's music is what I try to embrace in his music. It's the idea that the singer lived to process his hurt and put into all the beautiful meaning songs he could while he was still alive. I never thought the day would come when Jason's music could get any sadder, but here we are. I'll still celebrate it. And if you indulge me, I want to read one more thing from Rolling Stones magazine, quoted. We're going to miss Jason. He was generous. He was one of the kind, and he had a voice unlike any other. And if you get a chance, and I would hope you do, go to YouTube and listen to some of his music. It's different. I have to admit, it's different, but it's different in a way that you will become familiar with it. Thank you.
Jason was in my class the first year that I was a teacher at Hawthorne, the same year that his dad had him. Ramon Ray Pagan is a 1966 graduate of Lorain Admiral King High School. During high school, Ray was selected as a captain of the baseball team for the Admirals. He was also selected by his classmates as best personality among the senior class. Following graduation, Ray enlisted in the United States Marine Corps during the Vietnam War. Following his service, he attended the University of Akron, where he became one of the first in his family to graduate from college. He would go on to earn a Master's of School Administration and a Superintendent Certificate in Education from Bowling Green State University. Ray had a long history as an educator first, and then as an administrator in the Lorain City Schools at Whittier and Southview. He was honored as being selected as the first Puerto Rican high school principal in Lorain. His success garnered national acclaim as Southview was honored by the National Hispanic Magazine for keeping Hispanic students from dropping out of school. Ray has served on countless boards over the years and had the honor of having the Hispanic Funds and Southview's Booster Club's Ray Pagan Scholarship named after him. He has been happily married to his wife, Diane. They have 3 children. Michael and Sarah attended Admiral King and Daniel Southview, who are all graduates of Lorain City Schools. And I appreciate him as a mentor to a new principal at Southview who took the time to show this guy around the South Lorain community. Please welcome Ray Munchie Pagan to the Lorain Schools Alumni Association Distinguished Alumni Hall of Fame.
Good morning. First of all, I'd like to thank the selection committee, for giving me the opportunity to be here. I'm really honored. I would also like to thank the Lorain City Schools and Lorain for always being there for me. I was born in Puerto Rico. I came out here when I was young. I grew up in South Lorain. I went to Lincoln, Whittier Junior High, and I graduated from Admiral King. I got to tell you that I learned a lot. They had a great education, really. During the time when I was as an administrator at Lorain Southview, I found a lot of great students, and one of them you met, and teachers. We have a table full of teachers there that work for Southview, and every day I thank them because they made my job quite easy. I tell you, my first teaching position was at Whittier, which was in South Lorain. When I became school administrator as assistant principal at Southview, it was at South Lorain. When I became principal, and I spent quite a few years there, it was South Lorain. I think you see, from the time that I came from Puerto Rico to Lorain to the time that I retired, my whole life was South Lorain. When we had meetings downtown, I thought that was a field trip. So I need to thank them. They were great. And lastly, I need to thank my wife. She was the one that was there with me my whole career. And I like to see her raise her hand. There she is back there, Diana. She's terrific, and she made it happen. Again, I would like to thank the committee. Oh, by the way, my wife is from South Lorain.
Ross Pillari is a 1968 graduate of Lorain High School. During high school, Ross participated in student council, serving as class president his senior year. He was also voted most service to school and was president of Lorain Youth Center. Finally, Ross was a member of the National Honor Society, a 3-year letter winner in band, and served on the Scimitar staff for 2 years. Following graduation, he attended Case Western Reserve University and earned a BA in economics. Following graduation from Case, Ross was a member of the Air National Guard from 1972 through 1975. Not one to rest on his laurels, Ross returned to school in 1995 to complete Stanford University's prestigious executive management program. Ross has enjoyed a long and diversified career in the energy industry following his start in Lorain. In the 1990s, he served as chairman of Netherlands Refining Company, director of marketing for BP Australasia, and was group vice president, global marketing for BP PLC. From 2001 to 2006, he was elevated to chairman and CEO of BP America. Mr. Pillari is a great deal of community service. He was a member of the White House Hydrogen Energy Task Force in 2002, served on the Secretary of Energy's National Petroleum Council in 2005, and has been published in the Harvard Business Review and Journal of Ethics at the California University at Berkeley. Please welcome Ross Pillari to the Lorain Schools Alumni Association Distinguished Alumni Hall of Fame. Accepting for him will be Mr. Bill Sturgill, and Ross was unable to attend. I believe he's in Europe at this time, but he did send a video.
Good morning, and I apologize for not being able to join you for today's ceremony. Unfortunately, when I was informed of this event, I already had previous commitments to be in Italy that could not be changed. However, I am extremely honored to be receiving the Distinguished Alumni Award from the Lorain Schools Alumni Association. I am particularly honored because this award recognizes the importance of character building and education during our most formative years. In my case, I was fortunate to have a supportive and caring family combined with an excellent education in the Lorain school system. I am grateful for the opportunity to have been in a system that encourages excellence in basic education and participation in extracurricular activities. My time in Lorain, and in particular high school, gave me the opportunity to learn leadership skills and the value of aspiring to constantly improve oneself, even if not always successful. Since graduating from LHS, I've lived in 3 countries, been an executive manager of several companies, and been fortunate to hold a number of leadership positions that served our society. This journey started here, in the Lorain school system. I hope that current students in the Lorain system can be encouraged by mine and the other inductees' achievements. Upon graduating from Lorain Senior High School, I was well prepared to compete and succeed. It took hard work and personal commitment, but the foundation built here in Lorain schools gave me that opportunity. Again, thank you for this award and enjoy the weekend.
Just wanted to let you know that I wasn't Ross's first choice for accepting this for him. The other person got injured, so I lucked out. And I just wanted to, I'm going to make this pretty quick, but I just wanted to say to Mr. Hudak, I thought you were like two foot taller because if you remember the word speedball, you know, back in the 60s, you happened to have ran me over one day. So, and then you always look bigger because I was I was in junior high school in there. So anyway, the first thing when I talked to Ross, the first thing he was very humbled by this. And Ross was an East Side kid, went to Longfellow and went to Lorain High School, and he stressed his education. And obviously, if you go to Case, you get a good job. So, but my big question for him is, Ross, did you dump all that oil into golf? And he left before that. But he had a great career. He stressed education, and he was extremely humble to receive this. So I wanted to say
thank you from the bottom of his heart for Ross Pillari.
Phil Stammitti is a 1968 graduate of Lorain High School. Beyond playing varsity baseball, his high school years weren't that noteworthy. In fact, Stammitti was very shy and introverted during high school. However, he does have a memory of his guidance counselor, Mr. Harold Jones, who challenged him by saying that based on the effort he was putting into high school, he probably would never go to college or amount to much. Stammitti said, "I didn't realize it at the time, but later in life, I got it, that he was motivating me to do something. He is one of the reasons that I ended up working harder to achieve things in life." After high school, he enlisted in the U.S. Navy for 4 years. When honorably discharged in 1972, he started taking night classes at Lorain Community College and was hired by the Lorain Police Department in 1973. He would work full-time on night shift and take day classes at LCC until he received his associate's degree with honors in police science in 1977. In 1978, Stammitti was voted as the first Policeman of the Year. He served as a patrol officer, worked on the Felony Crime Squad and the Narcotics Bureau. In 1986, he was hired to work in the Sheriff's Office, where he was promoted to captain and served in many different capacities. Following the retirement of Sheriff Mahoney, Stammitti was elected as sheriff in 2001 and continues in that capacity to this day. Please welcome Phillip Stammitti to the Lorain Schools Alumni Association Distinguished Alumni Hall of Fame.
As you can see from that picture, 50 years ago, I did have hair, and actually I didn't need reading glasses, but now I do. So, and also when I was looking at the committee, and I am honored and humbled to be able to be amongst the second class here of the inductees, but then I figured out how I got in, because I think half the committee graduated with me in 1968 and they're sitting up here. So I go, now I figured it out. But I came from some humble beginnings too. I mean, it was my mother, I'll tell you, I give her great credit, because she raised 9 kids. It was 5 girls and 4 boys. And God bless her, boy. I'll tell you, she kept us in line too. And you know, my dad, he was a plasterer back then, back in the 60s. I'm a product of the 60s. He was out of work more than he actually was working. I remember the last job they did plastering was at the Midway Mall, which is really starting to go down a little bit now too. But I was lucky enough, because you had north of the tracks and south of the tracks. Well, we grew up at my grandpa's house, my grandpa Stammitti's house, and it was at 20th and 11th. And as you know, we had the only home on the corner which was surrounded by the projects. So actually, all my friends were projects. I call myself a project kid myself. But, you know, I went to Charleston, and then I went on to Hawthorne, and then I went to King, actually, a half a year, and then we moved in 65, where I finished 3.5 years at Lorain High. I'll tell you, I give credit to, I remember my dad, when we first bought that house over on 6th Street, the house payment was $50. And I remember him saying, I don't know how I'm going to make this house payment. I was like, oh, not the taxes are even more than a month now. But Mr. Jones, he did motivate me. I got to give him credit, because I didn't feel too good when I left his office. I remember that. I was like, wow. But, you know, then, and like I say, later I realized what he was trying to do to me, and he did help me. Some of my, I tell you, we're a product to me of our families, our school system, and our communities. And there's a lot of teachers that motivated me at Lorain High also. Mr. Dale Reichert, who was my baseball coach, Al Jr., my biology teacher, Thurman Riddle, Jack Torella. When I took the machine shop and went on to the Navy, and that's what I did in the Navy, never thought I'd end up being a police officer, but you know, my dad was in the auxiliary, but I am humbled to be put into this class. I do want to thank my wife of 25 years, Mary Jo. She's been by my side, and I can tell you there's people in this room now that I would not be sheriff if it wasn't for Toni Giardini, Herb Jacoby, Gary Mead, and my wife, and John Malinowski, because they've really helped me, and Sheriff Mahoney mentored me all those years. But I'm humbled to get this award, and I want to thank you very much. Thank you.
Bruce Weigl graduated from Admiral King High School in 1967. Following graduation, Weigl enlisted in the Army and served in the Vietnam War, where he would earn the Bronze Star. After service, Bruce enrolled in Oberlin College, where he would earn a bachelor's degree. He also earned a Master's of Arts in Writing in American and British Literature from the University of New Hampshire. Finally, he earned a PhD from the University of Utah in 1979. Weigl has gone on to be known and respected as an American contemporary poet. His first collection of poems, A Romance, was published in 1979. Understandably, Weigl's writing was greatly influenced by his experience in Vietnam. Works such as The Monkey Wars and Song of Napalm were other collections of poetry that Weigl authored. He went on to publish an acclaimed memoir entitled The Circle of Han, a memoir. In that memoir, he wrote, "The war took away my life and gave me poetry in return. The fate that the world has given me is to struggle to write powerfully enough to draw others into the horror." Bruce was first awarded a prize in 1979 from the American Academy of Poets. He has received 2 Push Art Prizes, a Patterson Poetry Prize, a Breadlow Fellowship in Poetry, and a grant from the National Endowment for the Arts in 1988. Weigl was nominated for the Pulitzer Prize in Poetry in 1988 and again in 2012. In 2006, he was awarded a Lannan Literary Award for poetry. Weigl has also enjoyed a long career in academia. As a distinguished professor of English, he has taken up academic residence at Lorain County Community College after previously teaching at the University of Arkansas, Old Dominion, and Penn State University. While at Old Dominion, Weigl was president of the Associated Writing Programs. Please welcome Dr. Bruce Weigl to the Lorain Schools Alumni Association Distinguished Alumni Hall of Fame. And accepting on his behalf is Kathy Lathwell.
Good morning, everyone. We expected Bruce this morning, so I'm hoping that everything is well with him. I've known Bruce for the last several years because I'm an employee of Lorain County Community College and a former English teacher in the Lorain City Schools. It's with a great deal of pride that I recognize the people who have been noted and become famous for their writing that have come from Lorain and have used the home values and so on in their writing as they've gone on throughout their life. Bruce just retired last year from Lorain County Community College, where he'd been a professor emeritus, and still the Vietnam War was central to him right up until the last things that he was doing at the college. He served as the manager for the Veterans Affairs Office and mentored young men and women who have been returning from the wars through the Middle East and so on. That was some work that was very dear to his heart. Vietnam also remained close to him in that he married a Vietnamese woman, and one of his goals in life was to adopt a child from Vietnam, which he did in the mid-90s. He had returned to Hanoi and gone to an orphanage there and adopted a young girl that he brought back and has raised in this country. So I think, he left Admiral King in 1967 and within weeks was on that bus to, go serve his country, and it was evidently a critical moment in his life and time that has carried him throughout his life. So I thankfully accept this award on his behalf.
Johnnie E. Wilson is a 1961 graduate of Lorain High School who has the distinction of being a retired United States Army 4-star general. Born in Louisiana, Wilson was raised in Lorain and graduated from Lorain High School in 1961. Following graduation, he entered the Army as an enlisted soldier. He was able to earn the rank of Staff Sergeant before attending Officer Candidate School in 1967. Following OCS, he earned a BS degree in Business Administration from the University of Nebraska at Omaha and a Master of Science degree in Logistics from Florida Institute of Technology. General Wilson's long and decorated legal career, including positions as Deputy Chief for Logistics, Chief of Staff, U.S. Army Materiel Command, Deputy Commanding General, 21st Area Theater Command, and culminated as being the Commanding General, U.S. Army. He is recipient of the Army Distinguished Service Medal with Oak Leaf Cluster, Legion of Merit, Bronze Star with 2 Oak Leaf Clusters, Meritorious Service Medal, Army Commendation Medal, Special Forces Tab. General Wilson retired from the United States Army on April 26, 1999. Lorain Schools has acknowledged and honored General Wilson for his military contributions by naming one of its schools after him. Please welcome General Johnnie E. Wilson to the Lorain Schools Alumni Association Distinguished Alumni Hall of Fame.
Well, good afternoon.
I tried.
Let me say to Mr. Peterson and his team of outstanding individuals, I too thank you for an outstanding event and wish all of them well. Matter of fact, what about asking your people to stand again? You see, I'm deeply honored and grateful standing here accepting this distinguished award on behalf of the many people who are just as deserving. For me, I know that's absolutely correct. And I would say, too, as you heard the earlier speakers, each of them spoke about the people who were responsible for getting them here. You see, there's an African-American proverb that says it takes a village to raise a child. In my case, there were probably many villages. As a result, this award is for them. So consequently, I have many to thank. Accordingly, I thank my biological family, 11 brothers and sisters. And our parents worked 2 and 3 jobs depending upon the season and so on. We didn't have much, and I was happy to hear the people coming from South Lorain. But in our case, we had each other. And throughout the years, they have always been in support of me, whether I was in combat in Vietnam, and at one point in time, there were 2 of us brothers in Vietnam at the same time. So you can imagine what my mother went through during that time. I also like to thank Mount Zion Baptist Church, where I was baptized in 1958. I'd also like to thank the people who resided in Foltin Homes projects during that time. And I can't say enough about the outstanding teachers who taught at Lincoln Elementary, Whittier Junior High, and of course Lorain High during my time, for ensuring that I possessed the basic requisite skills to compete. And as most of you know and have heard, I joined the Army at the age of 17 right out of high school with the intent to spend 4 years. However, after moving 29 times in 38 years, Helen and the kids said, that's enough. So we had to bring this military journey to an end. And I've often said that there are 2 decisions I would never regret. One, joining the Army, but most importantly, marrying Helen McGee, who happens to be a Elyria High alum, the rock of our family, my strongest supporter, and my most constructive critic, whom I love dearly. And you see, she always found a way to maintain the appropriate level of humility in our family. And she had a unique way of doing that. And one of the examples I use when I meet some of the military families and we speak about the military really being a huge family spread throughout the world and how we always look out for each other. So years ago when Mayor Lako was here, he had me here in Lorain for a little ceremony. So at the end of the ceremony, we drove out of town and stopped on Route 57 at this gas station. He too was a member of Elyria High. But he came out to the car and I rolled the window down. He didn't say hi to me, he said hello to Helen. But when he put the gas in the automobile, I started not to pay the turkey, but you know, being an officer and a gentleman, I paid up. So as we drove off, I looked at Helen and I said, look, if you'd have married old Jones, you'd be married to the gas station attendant. She said, no, you got it wrong, because if I'd have married him, he'd be the general and you'd be pumping that gas. So I'm always reminded that there's a strong woman behind all of us. So let me say once again, thanks to the committee and thanks to Lorain, because it's really been tremendous. And when they named the middle school, I had promised the students I would always come back, and we've been back every year except for one. So let me leave a message with the students who are with us, and that is, students, make every day a learning day. Strive to be the best. Believe in yourself and know that you have the capacity to be great. So to each of you, I say thank you very much and God bless. Now, one small thing, since there are a lot of judges and lawyers here, there's a typo. It says Wilson's legal career. It meant logistics. I don't want them to call me on a legal matter. So thank you all and God bless.
Thank you. Chloe A. Wofford, also known as Toni Morrison, is a 1949A graduate of Lorain High School. Writer, novelist, editor, critic, professor, poet, daughter, mother, sister, aunt, icon. Life for Chloe began on the racially integrated streets of Lorain in a home where her parents strongly encouraged her interest in reading and education. Unaware of racism as a young child, Chloe has said, "When I was in first grade, nobody thought I was inferior. I was the only black in the class and the only child who could read." Graduating LHS with honors, Chloe went on to Howard University, where she received a BA in English and an MA in English from Cornell University. Spending her early years in academia, Morrison taught at Texas Southern, Howard, Yale, Rutgers, and Bard. Settling in at Princeton in 1989, she achieved Professor Emeritus status by her retirement in 2006. She was also a senior editor at Random House for 20 years. Her first novel, The Bluest Eye, was published in 1970 when she was 39 years old. Her journey to preeminence did not come easily, and recognition from the literary establishment was slow to arrive, but arrive it did. Morrison said the initial reception to her work was like its leading character, Pecola Breedlove, dismissed, trivialized, and misread. Her first award was in 1979 from the American Academy of Poets. Awards that followed included a Pulitzer Prize for Fiction in 1988, the American Book Award in 1988 for Beloved, the Order d'Arts et Letters Ainsfield Wolf Book Award, the Nobel Prize for Literature in 1993, and the Presidential Medal of Freedom. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Chloe Wofford, or Toni Morrison, to the Lorain Alumni Association Distinguished Alumni Hall of Fame. Accepting on her behalf is her niece, Sherry. Sherry? If it's not, it's his fault. Give me the wrong name.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Sharon. And it's been a long day. I won't hold you long. I didn't know I was going to be up here speaking in honor for my aunt. It's kind of hard following her footsteps or even speaking. She's an extraordinary woman. I just want to say thank you. It's just an honor to be up here accepting this award for her. And if you haven't seen her film, go see it. Her documentary. It tells the story. And I love talking to her because when she speaks to you, she has a way to capture your attention. It's almost like a storytelling, how she get her point across. So I thank you, and I'm sure she's we'd be very happy. But like I said, it's a blessing. I thank you for the community for naming a school after her, and even her name in the Lorain Public Library. It's just, what can I say? I can't express it enough. So thank you.
Henry suggested I wish anybody that had a birthday since they've been here a happy birthday. A couple of things to remind people in attendance. First off is please, if you haven't done so already, fill out a form and sign up for the Alumni Association. It costs nothing, and you will receive email copies of our newsletter. And again, we are looking, always looking for nominations for worthy people for selection to be honored. Inductees, if you are planning to ride in the parade tomorrow at 10:15 at Fligner's parking lot, or see Henry afterwards, please. The festival today, if you are going to appear at the festival with us, please be in the rear of the stage at 5 p.m. down on Black River Landing. Another one of our local groups, the Jim Popeil Foundation, through the Booster Club. Many of you, especially those of you that went to Admiral King, know of Jim Popeil, and he was here last year, but he's recovering from surgery and is not here. But we have representatives from the Jim Popeil Foundation. The Lorain Booster Club has sponsored a scholarship on his behalf, and we have our second annual dinner coming up this fall, and they will be in the back with tickets. And a couple of other things I know, especially for those of you that are out of town, you read and see a lot on the news about the state of Lorain schools. And I can attest to the fact that it is not perfect, but just as I was able to do last year, I can stand up here and assure you that there are plenty of students in Lorain schools capable of carrying on the legacy that you have begun. This past May, when graduation occurred, there were 23 students who got dual degrees between Lorain Community College and Lorain High School at the same time, which I think is remarkable. Also had a young man by the name of Trent Jackson, who I actually hoped could be here. You may have read about Trent in the newspaper, as he had a perfect 36 on the ACT. He is yet to make his college choice, because he did that when he was a sophomore at Lorain High. And finally, just this last week, if you turned on Steve Harvey's show, you saw another of our young men, Jaden Morales, featured as one of 8 individuals that Mr. Harvey and his wife and their foundation presented him a 4-year scholarship to attend Kent State University. I bring him up because he did a lot of work with Joe Bach and myself on Channel 20, and he is a tremendously worthwhile student, and one of those 23 who earned an associate's degree. So things may not be perfect, but there's plenty here, just as there was in your day, And I want to thank you all for attending today.
This has been a production of Lorain City Schools TV 20 WLCS.